Alright, so I want to talk about something. I think the reason that they are banning history in the USA, they're banning it because of situations like the situation I found myself in at 16, where reading one history book written by a socialist historian taught me more about the actual history of my country, the USA, than the 12 years of schooling, 12 years of any of the history classes I had for the entirety of my elementary or high school. One history book written by a socialist historian taught me more about the actual history of my country, and taught me about systemic oppression that none of the other history teachers, none of the history books I had read in school, none of the textbooks talked about real systemic oppression. That one book taught me more than any of the history teachers I had throughout my entire schooling in the USA of public schooling taught me. That's why they're banning history. That's why they don't want you to read it. That's why they don't want kids to read history, is because, I've been an anarchist since I was 16 because I read that book. And the fascists are acting like if they just ban history, that's going to stop it from happening. If they just hide change, if they hide diversity, if they don't show people the real history of this country, if they don't show people how we're essentially just as bad as fucking Israel is, and we're even funding what they're fucking doing to the genocide of Palestinians, but we're just as fucking bad, and we're also fucking fascists, but they don't want people to know the real fucking history of this country. Because the moment that people start learning the real history of this country, they're not going to support it anymore. And that's what's really fucking happening. And they're thinking that if they just hide the information, that'll be the solution. Well, if the problem is people are becoming aware of the evil of the history of this country and they're revolting against the present evil that is caused, well, they think if they just hide the information that these problems will go away. If they just hide, anyone that is resistant to the government's oppression, all these problems will just go away. If they just declare people like me who are transgender terrorists and enemies of the country, that, that's just gonna take care of these issues. But it doesn't work that way. It's never worked before that way. It won't work that way this time. Even if they successfully, start locking all of us up and killing us or whatever, how they already tried that in past times, more of us would be born in the future because we're a core part of humanity, and hiding diversity won't take away the diversity of humanity. You can't just ignore a problem and expect it to go away. And these problems, none of them are new. They've been happening for hundreds of years. And reading any real history book would show people that.